Cricket is a sport that has been around for centuries, and many amazing records have been set over the years. But there are some of the most impressive ones that will never be beaten. Do you know what these are? In this video, we will talk about some of the most impressive and jaw-dropping cricketing feats that have ever been accomplished, and they'll likely remain unbroken for many years to come. So sit back, relax, and enjoy this compilation of the most incredible cricket records ever set. But before we start, smash that red subscribe button and like the video. It's free. Now, let's get started. Let's start with the number 10. Australia's consecutive World Cup winnings. Australia set a new record by winning the 50-over World Cup 3 years in a row from 1999 to 2003 and again in 2007. All were led by Steve Waugh, with Ricky Ponting taking charge of the other two. This team's former wicketkeeper broke another record by scoring 50-plus runs in the last 3 World Cup finals for the same match. Even the latter's record is thought to be unbeatable at this point. The odds of the same team making it to the World Cup finals 3 years in a row are very low. Maiden T20 Super Over. Playing a maiden super over is a full and utter shock because obtaining even a dot ball is extremely tough. Spinner Sunil Narine of the West Indies was the first bowler to achieve the feat of bowling a maiden in a super over. In the 2014 edition of the Caribbean Premier League, Red Steel and Guyana Amazon Warriors concluded at 118 for 8 and 118 for 9 together in 20 overs. A super over was arranged to settle on the match's victory. These kind of events only take place occasionally. In most cases, something like this will never happen again, or at least not anytime soon. The oldest cricketer, Wilfred Rhodes, and renowned English all-rounder, might hold 3 world records that can never be broken. However, since the current number of first-class cricket matches is so much lower than what players were once accustomed to, we will only include one record here for variety's sake. The Yorkshireman, who notably batted last for England yet finished as the team's opener, set the record as the oldest player in Test cricket history at 52 years and 165 days. This record will always be intact in the present era when players are typically done by their mid-30s. The record for most first-class games played and for most first-class wickets taken are 2 more Rhodes records, unlikely to surpass over 4,000. Sachin Tendulkar's 100 centuries. Regarding international cricket, Sachin Tendulkar was always at the top of his game. He was often considered the most skilled batsman to play the game. Tendulkar scored a century 100 times during his illustrious career, 51 times in tests and 49 times in one-day internationals. Former Australian captain Ricky Ponting, who has 71 centuries, is far behind. Virat Kohli has been frequently mentioned as a potential contender to equal or surpass Sachin Tendulkar's record of 100 centuries. While it was initially thought that Kohli would eclipse Tendulkar, the 33-year-old has been unable to get past 70 international centuries for the past 2 years. Tendulkar has scored over 34,000 runs at the highest level of international cricket. Kohli has scored just over 23,000. Tip Foster. Tip Foster made a spectacular entrance into Test cricket with an undefeated 287 on his debut at Sydney Cricket Ground in 1903. In his first Test match, he set a record by making 200 runs. After a while, 4 other people joined him. To top off an already impressive debut, this total also stood as the highest in Test cricket for the next 27 years. England's position at 117 for 4 after Australia's 285 in the first innings was precarious. Making his first Major League appearance, Foster contributed to his club by taking a first innings lead and scoring more runs than his team in the first inning. The effort was even more impressive since it helped Australia go from a weak 332 for 8 in their first innings to a commanding 577 in their second. Tip Foster made history in that same game by forming the only 9th wicket and last wicket century partnerships. Another interesting fact about Foster is that he was the only athlete to lead England in cricket and football as captain. 200 Test matches. The Test match format of cricket is often regarded as the game's greatest innovation. Test matches generate a different excitement among spectators than even the most intense games in the Indian Premier League or the Ranji Trophy. No one in the history of Test matches can forget the renowned Sachin Tendulkar, who at the tender age of 24 was already well into his career and had played in 200 Test matches. After Sachin Tendulkar's historic mark, there was Ricky Ponting, who played in over 168 Test matches. But some records are simply unbreakable. Javed Miandad's consecutive 50s. The Pakistani batsman named Javed Miandad scored 9 50-plus scores in a row. The streak started in the 5th ODI with India in Mumbai, and the final match of the series was in his team's first World Cup encounter against Sri Lanka. Phil de Freitas ended Miandad's bid for a 10-game stretch of 50-plus not out by dismissing him LBW when he was 23 during the next World Cup match against England. However, the record is so far ahead of the rest of the pack that the next players on the list of most consecutive ODI 50s are all tied for 6, with 6 runs each of Gordon Greenidge, Andrew Jones, Mark Woe, Yusuf Yuhana, Kane Williamson, Chris Gale, and Paul Stirling. Most international wickets. The well-known player from the Sri Lankan national team set this fantastic record for the team. Muttiah Muralitharan took some 800 wickets throughout 133 tests, 534 wickets throughout 350 one-day internationals, and 13 wickets throughout 12 2020 matches. If we look at the whole picture, we can observe that the player has taken approximately 1,347 wickets in international competitions. It is truly a monumental accomplishment. Something like this does not occur in modern times. These records have just been set, and they cannot be beaten by anybody else. Shane Warne is the next player on the list, having amassed a total of 1,001 wickets in international competition. This figure is about 25% lower than the record that Muralitharan had previously achieved. 588 runs in one single day. A test match between England and India before independence saw 588 runs scored on a single day. It happened on June 27, 1936, during the second test at Manchester. India won the toss and elected to bat first in the first test match between the two sides, which was played at Lord's. Despite being all out for 147, India seized the lead in the match. India's first innings total in the second test, played in batting-friendly Manchester, was above 200. After that, England was in a bit of a pickle after Mohammad Nisar, India's fastest bowler at the time, clean bowled Harold Gimblett for a score of 12 for 4. While Hammond only added 49 more runs, England's batting depth was on display, with scores of 50 from Stan Worthington, Joe Hardstaff Jr., Walter Robbins, and Hadley Verity. There were 588 runs scored in one day, with England accounting for 398 of them, and India for 190. With the over rates being what they were, when only roughly 120 overs were bowled in a day, this 588 run record is unlikely to be broken very soon. 99.9 batting average. Don Bradman, an Australian cricketer, competed in 52 matches, scored a total of 6,996 runs, made 29 centuries and 13 50s, and established a new record for his batting average of 99.94. 1948 was the year that the legend competed in his final test match. Nobody has even had the audacity to try to beat the record that the player set, and it's been over 7 decades since that happened. However, the young Australian star Marnus Labuschagne is right behind him with an average of 63.43, even though he has only scored 1,459 runs to this point. In addition, during his career as a cricket player, Bradman scored 100 runs in only 3 overs. The game between Blackheath and Lithgow took place in 1931, and both towns attended it. The legend established an unbeatable record in the annals of cricket by scoring a century in just 18 minutes. So, here we must wrap up our video. What do you think is the most impressive record on this list? Let us know in the comments below. And subscribe to the channel without forgetting to hit the bell icon and the like button. See you in the next video.